After taking off from Kingaroy, I turned north towards Wandai and then final destination Gympie, and flew into a clear blue sky with not a cloud in sight. Here pointing out the small towns of Wandai, Cherbourg and Nanango. Just over Wandai I was going to turn 90 degrees and head for Gympie. At this point, I started to see a couple of small clouds forming just somewhat below, but nothing major in sight until after the range. And here it was time to take a photograph of Mount Widgie, one of my paragliding favoured sites, and then down to the right, the small farm that we used to own at Widgie. The house on top of the hill was very, very clear and easy to see. Being very conservative, I'd climbed to about 8,000 feet across the range. There's a lot of tiger country with no land-out options, so height was safety, and I took that on my first flight. And ahead the queues were starting to build up, and eventually on my descent was back underneath the cloud cover. On finals into Gympie, I was a little bit indecisive. I thought taking the grass right strip initially, but I remember we used to use that only for launching, and for some reason always landed on the left-hand side. So, doing what I know has been done, I opted then to move over to the left side for a grass strip landing. Just before the threshold at Gympie, you're coming from a rising ground and quite a few trees with curl over. I'd forgotten how bouncy it can be, and then I proceeded to do a little bit of a skip and a hop, but settled down gently at the end of it all. After landing, I taxied to the southern side of the strip, where, that's the home of the Sunshine Coast Gliding Club, and then proceeded to cheekily taxi up to the clubhouse and see if anyone was around. As it was, there was nobody around, but good gliding friend Don, who's a member of the Sunshine Coast Gliding Club, came down to say hello, and we had a refreshing cold drink before I decided to head off back to Kingaroy. It was a very quiet day, so I decided to use bitumen, runway 14, rather than get the grass strip, and that paid off. The rollout and climb was really good. Climbing away from Gympie, I found a couple of 6 knot plus thermals and actually used those to gain some height before going over the range. As I said, there's a bit of tiger country to be flown over, But this time I took a direct route back to Kingaroy, and having flown there, I figured I didn't need to climb as high, so topped up to about 6,500 before committing to go over the range. By now, landing back at Kingaroy with the Falke is pretty familiar. So just a regular landing and then taxi back to the hangar. After an enjoyable flight, taxiing back to the hangar is quite a pleasure, and do appreciate not having to get tow out gear and so on. I can just follow the line, come around to the taxiway and kick around right in line with my door, ready to put away. It was a really good flight for the end of 2024, thoroughly enjoyed it, caught up with Don at Gympie, had been away, had some beautiful flying conditions, really couldn't have asked for much better on a last flight for 2024.